This is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing a topic called factors, multiples and indices, and we're going to learn about squares, square roots and cubes. So let's look in this box here for a few things that we're learning about today. When a whole number is multiplied by itself, the result is a square number. So for example, 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so 5 is a square number. We can also write that in index notation. So instead of writing 5 times 5, we can write that as 5 with a little power of 2, which we call 5 squared. Okay, so the 2 means 5 times by 2 5s times together twice. So 5 times 5. So 5 squared is equal to 25. Next, the square root of a number is the inverse of squaring the number. Okay, so this symbol here is a square root sign. So if 5 times 5 is 25, then the square root of 25 is equal to 5. Okay, so it's basically the opposite of squaring. And the third point here, a cubed number is a number multiplied by itself 3 times. So when we had 5 squared, that was 5 times 5. There was 2 5s multiplied together. But if we have 2 to the power of 3, that means that there is 3 2's multiplied together. 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. So let's have a look at the examples today. In the first one, it says use a calculator in each of the following questions. Find the square of. Okay, so square means times by itself. So we could write that down as 8 squared, or if you like 8 times 8. And you might know what that is, 8 times 8, or we practice on our calculator. On your calculator there is a square button. If I type 8, that little button there puts the 2 above the 8, which is 8 squared, is equal to 64. 31, find the square of 31. So 31 squared is equal to 31 with the little squared equals 961. Question 2, find all the square numbers between 200 and 300. So 12 times 12 is 144, and that's not big enough yet to get to 200. We could try 13. Okay, 13 squared is getting closer. About 14 squared. Very, very close. So the next number is 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. So that must be the first square number between 200 and 300. Let's try 16 squared. So that's 256. And 17 squared is 289. If we try 18 squared, we've now gone over the 300 mark. So that's it. Those are my 3 numbers, 225, 256 and 289. Question 3, we're now going to square roots. We want to find the square root of 196. Now if the square button is here, the square root button is right next to it. You have to press it first, square root, and then underneath it writes 196 is equal to 14. Okay, the square root of 900 is equal to 30. Now, coincidentally, we don't actually need a calculator for that one. If you have a look here, you can see that 9 is a square number. Okay, so remember 3 times 3 would give us 9. So the square root of 9 gives us 3. And if there's lots of zeros, if there's some zeros after that, if we can halve the zeros, like here, so there was 2, half of that is 1, then we get our answer. So the square root of 9 is the 3, halving the zeros makes 30. So we could do that again for this one here. See how it's 360,000. We can square root the 36. Square root of 36 is 6. And there's 4 zeros, so half of that is going to be 2. So it's going to be 600. But let's type it in to check. 360,000 is equal to 600. Question 4, it says evaluate using repeated multiplication. So 7 squared. So it wants us to know that that means that there is 2 7s multiplied together. 7 times 7, and we know what that is. 7 times 7 is 49. In B, 11 to the power of 3 means that there is 3 11s, 11 times 11 times 11, all multiplied together. Now that is a bit tricky to do in our head. So 11 times 11 times 11 is equal to 1,331. And 18 cubed will be 3 18s, 18 times 18 times 18, all multiplied together. 18 times 18 times 18, 5,832. Okay, that's it for the lesson part today. Now time for practice. So here are some questions just like the ones I've shown you. I'd like you to pause the video and give these questions a go and then restart to check your answers. So we want to use a calculator, or a calculator may be used in each of the following questions if we need it. Find the square of 4. So that just means 4 squared, okay, or 4 times 4, which is equal to 16. 37 squared, so 37, we want to square that. Don't know that one in our head, so let's do 37 with our square button, is equal to 1369. Question 2, find all the square numbers between 500 and 800. All right, that's a bit higher than what we had in our examples earlier. So maybe we'll have a bit of a guess. 500. What if we did, say, 21 squared equals 441. Okay, a little bit below. 22 squared, getting very close. 23 squared. Okay, 23 squared, we've just gone above the 500 mark. So that's going to be 529 is my first square number. So keep going, 24 will be the next one. 576. 25 squared. 625. 26 squared. 676. 27 squared is 729. 28 squared is 784. We're getting very close to our mark now. 29 squared. Yes, we've gone over. So that's them. That's my square numbers between 500 and 800. Question 3, find the square root of 1,764. Okay, this is not a nice number to square root, so we're going to need the calculator for this one. Square root button, 1764 equals 42. And B, that one is a nice one that we can do. We can square root the 49. Square root of 49 is 7, and halve the zeros will be 70. Always welcome to check that while you're practicing, just to make sure. There it is. And lastly, number 4, evaluate using repeated multiplication. So 19 squared is the same as 19 times 19. Okay, 19 times 19 is 361. 8 cubed, the 3 means there's 3 of them. 8 times 8 times 8. 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. And that's the end of our lesson today on squares, square roots, and cubes. Keep practicing and join me again next time. Bye.